La Llorona is a very old but still relevant myth that is traditionally told in Mexican households. She is used as a way to warn children of the dangers of staying out late and doing things they're not supposed to. Parents always want their kids to at least come inside by the time the streetlights come on. Thus, La Llorona is a way to lightly coerce children to obey their parents. Now, on with the story. There are many variations of La Llorona, but the one that I heard as a child is the one that stuck with me the most. There was a young girl named Maria. She was so beautiful that all the men, young and old, always oohed and awed at her as she passed by. She knew that she was very attractive, and she wanted only the finest things in life. She told her family, mostly her abuelita, that she wanted to marry the most handsome man in the world. She wanted him to have hair as black as a raven, and to be the most sought-after man. Her grandma, her abuelita, always told her, "Mija, there are more important things in a man than what he looks like. You need to find a man who has a good heart and is honest. A man who will look out for you just as much as you look after him." Maria, being a haughty and proud child, never listened to her wise abuelita. As Maria matured into a young woman, she began to receive attention from young men in her small village. Of course, they were not good enough for her, and she never paid them any attention, regardless of their good intentions and kind hearts. It wasn't until one day that a man from the north came, a cowboy. This cowboy was indeed handsome, and he could sing beautifully. He played his guitar as he rode into Maria's small town. As he showed off, Maria knew that the cowboy was a handsome man, and she fell in love, as did the other girls in the village. Maria, being young and beautiful, caught the cowboy's attention, and he immediately tried to win her over with a song. Since Maria was proud, she began to ignore the cowboy and play hard to get. The cowboy became hopelessly devoted to Maria, and would serenade her all day and night. When Maria began to talk with the cowboy, her family warned her and scolded her. "Maria," they would say, "this is not the man you should marry, one so showy and proud. He may have good looks, but you do not know this man's heart." Again, Maria ignored her family's warnings and decided to elope with the cowboy. They began life together, and she bore his children. Life was perfect, until the cowboy had to leave to go work in the prairies. He would be gone for months at a time, and only come back for a few days. As Maria's husband returned, he would say, "I'm only here to see the children," and he would only come to visit the children and play with them. During the nights, the cowboy would gamble and play cards with his friends, laughing and saying that he would soon leave Maria for a younger, more beautiful woman with more money. Maria was heartbroken. Her children had won the affection of her husband by just being there. She became jealous of her own children. One day, as Maria was working in the front yard, her husband returned on horseback. Beside him was a younger woman, one who came from a rich family. The two looked away from Maria, but greeted the children. Poor Maria was left alone because she had aged and was not as beautiful as she used to be. Now, blind with rage, Maria grabbed her children by the arms and brought them to the river. There, she cast them into the mighty water, sending them down the river. As the children screamed, Maria realized what she had done. She wailed and cried, running to get her children. She tripped on her sandal, and her forehead struck a rock, killing her instantly. Maria's family hadn't seen her in a day or so, and they began to look for her. They looked everywhere, but there was no sign of her. Finally, one of the townspeople called Maria's family over to the river, and they found her body. That same day, they buried her in that spot by the river. Her body was veiled in a white sheet and was buried in a shallow grave. Legend says that Maria could not rest, knowing that her children could still be out there, looking for their mother. Maria's ghost rose from the grave, holding her sheet tightly around her to keep her warm in the harsh winds that night. She wailed and moaned, crying for her children. Mis hijos, mis hijos, she would cry. The people in the village thought that it was the wind howling, but this happened so often that they began to hear the words form in the howling wind. After a few of the children in the town disappeared, the townspeople came to the conclusion that Maria had kidnapped them, thinking they were her own. From that day on, the people no longer referred to her as Maria, but they called her La Llorona, the crying woman. Legend says that La Llorona travels from Mexico to California and all the way to Texas, looking for her children. Any child that is seen by her will be kidnapped and never seen again. The ghosts of her own children never forgive her for drowning them, and La Llorona continues looking for children to take, who resemble her own. Do you believe in La Llorona? Come inside at night. Make sure your blinds are shut, and your windows and doors are closed. La Llorona could be watching you right now.